Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Future of Impact podcast. Joining me today is Roni Ezuz, the Sustainability, ESG, and Public Relations Specialist at Stratasys. Roni, good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning. It's really nice to be here.
So I wanna jump right in and ask you a little bit about your job title. I've never met someone with such a unique job title, and I want to hear a little bit about what you actually do on the day-to-day, and if you could speak with us a little bit about the relationship between ESG, sustainability, and public relations. What does that actually look like?
Sure. Well, as you said, I kind of have like two hats. The first is ESG and sustainability, and the second relates to PR specifically here in Israel. I kind of see the connection between the two in a way, because PR for us is a great tool, not necessarily a purpose when it comes to ESG. I mean, it stands on its own and has its own merit in terms of employer branding and recruiting and so on. But in that sphere of ESG, it serves as a really great tool to get the messages across and to cultivate collaboration. For us, it's really important that our entire sustainability offering and activity is not greenwashing, right? And transparency is really at the core of our efforts. And when we make progress, we don't want to just keep that to ourselves. Any initiative, any creative idea, once shared, has a lot more of an impact. We want to share that outwards. We want people to see our efforts. We want them to give their opinion on them, to cultivate collaborations and joint research and partnerships around that field, and to kind of have people join the fray. For us, sustainability is not just a singular effort. For us, it's a joint issue for all of us, and we can only make progress when we reach some sort of critical mass of people acting in a certain way in that field. And if we build our business along the way, and we think that sustainability does that, that's even better. Our technology, and we're a 3D printing company in polymer. That's also called additive manufacturing, right? It's it has a ripple effect for our customers, right? We can create very light, very durable parts for industries, right? For them to use, and that can have a huge sustainability benefit, right? For aerospace, for example, if you use such lightweight, durable parts that are made with polymers and not, say, metal that's much heavier, you take off a lot of weight off a plane. That in turn, turns to having a lot less fuel usage. And if we keep that to ourselves, we don't communicate that value. The fact that we can do that has, by default, less merit. And we're not, as I said, we're not in this alone. We're really looking for everyone to come and join the fray.
That's incredible, and I really agree with you that one, the sustainability aspect is really in the DNA of your company, because your product has a ton of sustainability applications. And I was also really interested in hearing how important it is for you to communicate the value of your sustainability initiatives. And I'm curious to hear, when you're communicating what you're doing in terms of sustainability, who are you focusing on? Is it employees? Is it potential job candidates? Is it investors? Is it customers? Who are you talking to, and what kind of message are you sharing with them?
Well, so let me just start off by saying that this year, our sustainability initiative is kind of we're the start of our journey, right? Our sustainability function has been around for about a little over a year. ESG and sustainability report this year, based on the GRI standard. And I kind of like that because we don't really get a choice into what we put into it, right? We just have to put everything together. It's very standardized in a way, and everyone has to align to that, which was a huge undertaking, right? And for me, I was very lucky and very, very grateful, by the way, because we had some amazing people throughout the organization and the company that contributed to that report. And that created in terms of communicating with employees on anything we do on sustainability, that was a very big platform to create engagement. We had so many people like get involved with this report and put in the work and come up with their own issues, and more, the more they understood, the more they realized how this connects to their day-to-day job. And some of them got like really invested in this. It's a passion project now, and it's incredible. So that's one way of communicating specifically with employees. And then the other one is like the ground up approach. We try to be as available and as open to employee ideas, and to give them as many possibilities and platforms to come to us to raise issues that they encounter. When we chose the SDGs for our company to focus on, we did that like through our, like we let the employees choose which SDGs we're going to focus on. And it was pretty cool because it was like pretty much across the board, like a consensus. Everyone like really saw where we can have the most focus and where we should have the most focus, like most impact. And we're setting up like forums for employees to come up with initiatives to make it as collaborative as possible. So that's like specifically with employees. If we're talking about customers, the way I see it is the way to go about it is creating partnerships. We can be proactive, and reach out and share everything that we do on sustainability, and we do that. And we can be responsive, and we can, address questions and any issues that arise. And then when we do that, but for me, like what makes the difference is that when we leverage any interest in that into joint initiatives, into joint collaborations and research and hackathons and whatnot. And we try to create those sort of like, industry coalitions, like not just with our customers, but also with our peers. We are founding members of the Additive Manufacturing Green Trade Association, the AMGTA, which is an organization that is, set to showcase the value of additive manufacturing in sustainability. It's a real commitment, like a testament to our commitment, I think, of trying to leverage our technology for the sustainable benefits for our employees. And I think that when you have, this kind of relates to my previous point of like, when your employees are involved and they are invested and aware, that would translate to any customer interface as well.
I'm really curious to hear a little bit more about the process with your employees helping you set the SDGs. Everything you said is incredible, but that's very exciting because usually companies take a very top-down approach where the executives might decide what the SDGs are. Most employees are not involved in them at all, and then a small group of them is just executing what the leadership decided to do. And here it really came from the bottom up, which is unusual, and it's a very nice move on your part. So can you tell me a little bit more in detail about the process of hearing employees' opinions and turning that into action, and what the SDGs that came from employees actually were?
Sure. So let me start off by saying that like the entire process for us was not just like, top down. That's not where we're at. I don't think that's very engaging. And we do try to keep everything that we do like very much engaging, especially to our employees. So for us, our whole approach towards sustainability as a whole was kind of like based on that. So when we first just even before the SDGs, right? When we first started off with like sustainability reporting, we conducted a materiality assessment with both like internal and external stakeholders to try and kind of figure out where we could have the most impact and where people think we should focus our efforts on. And based on that, we decided on what we're going to be, what indicators to focus on according to the GRI standard in our reporting. Even, regardless of whether or not they were necessarily comfortable for us, right? And I think that kind of gave us like a very big focus on where to put our efforts in. And the SDGs are like a very good method. This entire field requires a lot more standardization, a lot of methods, there are a lot of things, it's very hard to compare how people and companies act because everyone uses kind of a different standard. And the SDGs is like an amazing tool for that. They're joint, you have KPIs embedded into them, a lot of people use them. It's a great tool to promote like sustainability as a whole. And so what we did is when we wanted to see where, again, we could have the most impact, we turned to our employees. We conducted a survey where most, like, a huge portion of our employees answered in like less than a week. We got to like amazing numbers across the world, like in all of our regions, from very different like parts of the company, and we kind of came up with like very prominent four that were leading the march, and ended up being the four that we chose, which are quality education, industry, innovation and infrastructure, responsible consumption and production, and climate action.
Wow. And it seems like it's really in the DNA of your company and the kind of people that are joining or interested in sustainability. But I still have to ask, how do you get employees excited about something like sustainability? How do you get to a situation where everyone's answering a survey within a week? Because even something as basic as a survey is difficult for a lot of companies that are now starting to look into sustainability.
Well, I think, first of all, we definitely tapped into something that was already there. People were excited for it when they came upon it, but it's also, like I said, about engagement. Like, you do good internal communication, you reach out, you do the groundwork. Things that remain like, just an email that you get, I don't think they're a big like power multiplier or whatever. But if you take the time, you go on a roadshow, you meet with groups, you meet with employees, you take up the opportunity to show your own passion about it, it's really engaging. And so when you get to the point where you send out a survey, this isn't the first time people have heard about it. They just got the first opportunity, right, to engage with it in a meaningful way that's very easy for them. And I think that's kind of the key of like, prepping the ground, giving people a chance, and showing that you're passionate about it.
Wow. I want to go back to something you were also saying about the report that you wrote. You did an assessment of internal and external stakeholders. So what did the assessment of your external stakeholders look like? And on a broader level, how much should a company hold its strategic partners and its external stakeholders accountable for SDG goals? What is your place on the supply chain to tell other companies you also need to step up your sustainability game?
Well, let me just say that, like, short answer, it's kind of like we have to do that. We have to hold each other accountable, right? It's definitely our place, and we should all, hold each other accountable and encourage others to take action. Like I said, like, this isn't like a personal journey for me, right? If I do a lot on sustainability and no one else does, we're not getting anywhere. We need to reach that critical mass. We see sustainability as an end-to-end effort. We're all each other's upstreams and downstreams. So if we hold our suppliers accountable, then we're making progress. And if our customers hold us accountable, then we're making progress. And I kind of like feel like we all expect that from each other, and that's the only way to go forward. If we all do, again, those like little changes all at the same time, and we continuously improve, then we're actually going to reach some sort of point where, we can see the trend kind of like, at the very least, being mitigated. So like for us, we've had customers from the automotive industry that came to us like pretty early on, with sustainability on the table. There were a lot of awareness, and they, came to us demanding action. And that was a very good way to hold us accountable. And for us, like, we've just now published a supplier's code of conduct that has a sustainability component. So for our suppliers, they're being expected like to do certain things, and we're holding them accountable. And the more we do that, the more progress we make.
I'm curious to dig a little deeper into your approach when you're motivating other companies that you work with to be more sustainable. What do you find most effective? Pushing them a little bit and creating a little bit of healthy competition, or inspiring them, or giving them very practical guidance? What's the attitude there that works the best?
Well, I would imagine it'd be a little bit of all of those components put together. The GRI report that we put out was like very extensive, and like I said, it was a huge undertaking. I don't know that a lot of people in our industry, if any at all, had us a report of that caliber, of that, like, based on the GRI standard out there. And that's a big push. We're leading the way forward. And I hope more and more companies in my industry like take that on and do that. Like even if they're not being, you know, regulated into doing that. Like for us, we're not looking to be compliant when it comes to ESG. We're looking to do like beyond compliance. And so it was very important for us to have, you know, to have that out there. And I really can only hope that more and more companies in my industry join that effort.
I agree. I hope that this trend only grows. And I think one of the most important things when we're trying to grow a movement of people who are more sustainable is to show tangible results. So earlier you mentioned KPIs and measurement, and I'm curious to hear a little bit about who's responsible for that, what measurement looks like, to what extent are you measuring quantitatively your impact, and what tools you're using. If you could just tell me a little bit about the whole measurement side.
Okay, so let me start off by saying that if you haven't seen our sustainability report just yet, I really much encourage you to go to stratasys.com/sustainability and take a peek at it. We did like some major data collection on environmental indicators, social indicators and social impact indicators, and governance topics. And there's a lot of data like readily available about Stratasys and what we do, our environmental impact, water and whatnot, and how we treat our employees, or how we interact with our communities, and so on. But I think you're touching on like maybe the trickiest challenge that we face and like one of our major pain points. We're pretty much at the start of our sustainability journey, and our approach was like very data driven from the start. Like I don't want to make decision based on gut feelings. This report served as some sort of a baseline for us to see where we're at right now, where our strong suits and where our not so strong suits, and see where we need to improve and where we need to focus our efforts. And now that we have that, we can actually make decisions. But making them without that baseline was not the way we wanted to approach this. But well, I think we kind of mentioned that sustainability is a journey, right? It's not a destination. Once you achieve a certain milestone, you're going to set the next one. And it's a never ending cycle. Even if you reach, again, some sort of like point of a trend being, changed, mitigated, improved, you have to maintain that. So it's kind of like a never ending sort of thing where any small step forward immediately requires you to take another step. It's a huge challenge. And I think we have a long way to go in terms of, improving not just where we're at, but also our monitoring capabilities, our data collection capabilities, so we can always have like a very clear picture.
I love that you pointed that out. And I think that's like the double-edged sword of sustainability, right? On the one hand, there's always more work to do, so it can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's also inspiring to know that you can always do better and you can always get more people to join you in order to do better.
I think it's a profession for optimists, where if you're looking for a point where you say, "Oh, that's it, we're good," that's probably not going to be something like very tangible, and you have to be very optimistic and very patient.
Okay, that's good to know. So pessimist, this is not the job function for you.
I think it just makes it a little maybe harder.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. So I wanna dig deeper into two of the SDGs that you mentioned, climate change and education. Those are two goals where collaborating with nonprofits is essential, and I think that Stratasys is in a very unique position because you have highly skilled, highly educated employees who are working on advanced technology. These are smart people with a lot to give. So I'm wondering, how does volunteering fit into your ESG strategy, and what opportunities do you provide your employees in that aspect?
Well, let me like preface by saying I think volunteering is like a very, very important pillar of ESG strategy. It's a very powerful way for us as a company to engage with the communities in which we operate. And like personally, I'm also a volunteer for Stratasys, right? And we have a lot of like long-term collaborations within our communities globally. Not we're a global company. We're headquartered in Israel and in the US, but we're spread out in a lot more locations than that. And the way we approach volunteering is it's based on a shared value. and around our capabilities and our technology, and the offering that we have, and how that, in accordance with our values and the SDGs, can impact, again, the societies and the communities that we operate on. We have a global network of employee volunteers that are, I think, some of our best ambassadors in the communities, and of our like our ESG efforts. And they're an instrumental part of the communities in which they operate. And I think one of the reasons that SDG of quality education was chosen was because it really resonates with our employees. We have a lot of like long-term collaborations in, in STEM education and in robotics and innovation and entrepreneurship, working with youth in those fields, and having the 3D printing, value being brought to those worlds, and like having kids, interact with the technology, learning its benefits, making it very approachable to them, and valuable to their goals. And again, like I said, long term, many years going on. And we have students that have participated in those like volunteer programs that we've had, and are now applying for jobs and internships with us. And I think that is like basically the dream, having not just made an impact, but you've also like made them curious and interested, and like you couldn't wish for anything better.
Wow, that's unbelievable. It really shows that you've been making an impact for a long time, and that your volunteering work has actually worked. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the macro level, like how long the volunteering program has been going on, how many people are participating, that kind of thing. Or if you'd like to share more about the micro level, if there's any good stories that you've heard, or any
Oh boy.
specific students.
Sure. So on the macro level, it's been going on for like over a decade, if I'm not wrong. I know we've definitely had like certain collaborations that have been going on for at the very least like 10 years. And like I said, like the idea and the strategy and the interest in it has been in Stratasys for a while. And in the field itself, like we've had organizations that we've been collaborating with for, as I said, like around a decade. And we have some amazing stories. Like I said, we've had as students who were part of our robotics competition and were mentored by Stratasys employee, applied for jobs with us. Personally, I volunteered for the past 2 years in the Makers for Heroes initiative, which helps veterans, with certain challenges that they face in their day-to-day lives, veterans who've been injured. And so like last year, our group used Stratasys technology in the fashion industry, printing on fabric, to help a veteran who has a medical neck brace, which is not very aesthetic, not very comfortable, and certainly in the Israeli heat and humidity, not very fun. And so we helped her and designed very cool, very fashion forward neck brace that is both supportive and like aesthetically awesome. She has like a great style, and she was like totally a part of the process. And we kind of got this chance to make an impact in like certain person's lives with our technology, and to engage with that person to see like how cool is that.
Wow, to be honest, in my own life, I've been volunteering for a long time, and I've been professionally involved in volunteering for almost a year now, and I've never heard anything like that. That's a very unique story, and I'm very impressed that your employees could do that. And I think that's exactly what we were talking about, right? Highly skilled people being able to make a change beyond the classic volunteering.
Actually, what I really like about our volunteering program is that you can be highly skilled in the technology, and you can be like me, completely like detached from the technology in your day-to-day work. And yet when you show up and you volunteer, you interact with it, you get to know the technology, you get to be exposed to the capabilities and to play with it. So even if it's not part of your day-to-day job, like we have volunteers that are application engineers and whatever, but we also have people from legal and finance, and just show up, use the technology to make a difference in people's lives. I can't think of anything better.
Amazing. My second to last question is, where do you see the future of volunteering at Stratasys? Where do you think things are going? And what would you like to share with other companies that are thinking about volunteering or are in your industry and already doing it?
Well, I think in terms of like where we're heading with volunteering at Stratasys, it's like bigger and better. We really want to expand our capabilities. We want to reach out to more employees. Like we try to encourage volunteering as much as possible. Volunteering hours are paid work hours at Stratasys, and we try to make it as easy and accessible to people to take part in our volunteering programs as much as possible. But we want to again, now that we have our SDGs, and in the past year, we've also done like a very big backbone process where we shaped our company's, purpose and mission and values based on our strategy. So we want to take those things and create um, even more initiatives that express those values and those SDGs and give people as many opportunities as possible to bring them to life in their own communities. Um, it's again, it's not the easiest of tasks, but we're very, very committed to that. Um, it's a very, integral part of who we are at Stratasys, and I think it's a great opportunity for our employees.
Incredible. My last question for you is what's on your mind? You have an open platform to share anything you'd like with our audience. Give us a piece of advice, tell us something that's on your mind, whatever you like.
Well, I think if there's one thing you can put out there is like collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. Um, this isn't a competition in a lot of ways. We have like huge tasks ahead of us. Share knowledge, um, learn from each other. Let's put it out there. There's a lot that needs to be done in terms of data and research and capabilities, and it's all of us together now. So um, I think it's the only way to move forward.
I agree 100%. Woni, thank you so much.
Thank you.